Big news coming out of the NFL today, boys. I know we've got a breakdown coming up, and we already did both of these
Is it
teams.
big?
I mean, it's kind of
It's
big
big.
because
News. It's
I think
news.
there's
It's news.
implications behind it. I think there's implications behind it, which is why I think it's big.
How big are
But
these implications, Ty Bob?
Big, apparently.
massive trades coming behind it, I think.
Massive?
Can I guess? Can I guess one?
Can I get it?
Well,
Can,
here's what
get,
happened first, Sean.
what happened, Ty Bob?
The
Let the people
Eagles
know.
the Eagles traded or for
Oh,
Commanders wide receiver Jahan Dotson. The Eagles will get Jahan Dotson, who came out of Penn State in his third year in the league. They get him and a fifth round pick in 2025. In exchange, the Commanders will receive a third round pick and two sevenths for the 2025 draft from the Eagles. That gives them much needed wide receiver depth, the Eagles. Um, So that's very much needed, especially when Devonta Smith and AJ Brown are getting injured consistently. Also include Dallas Goedert on that. I don't think he's played a full season in his entire career. So another weapon for the Eagles to be able to utilize, whereas the commies were definitely not willing to. Although he did have the opportunity to be the number two wide receiver behind Terry McLaurin, with Curtis Samuel leaving for the Buffalo Bills this offseason. So maybe he's just not as good as they thought he was.
Maybe the new regime just doesn't like him
Could be
because
it too.
somehow De'Ami Brown of all people is getting some looks in the preseason so far over there.
Apparently, a lot of people like De'Ami Brown. I did like him coming out of college.
You
dynamic
just picked him up in
De'Ami
fantasy,
Brown.
I
didn't
did,
you?
I did, in two dynasty leagues, I picked him up.
I think you just got confused because his name is so close to Dynasty. So, like, you thought you were supposed to have.
Is that how you play the game?
Is
Yeah,
that
the closest. All right. It's not. It's not a good or funny idea, so I'm going to
no?
stop
It
myself while I'm
was
ahead.
Monopoly.
um,
Is that how you win
Sean.
the game?
I think I think this opens up the opportunity for additional trades coming in. We all know that Brandon Aiyuk has been on the market for being traded. I think this
Oh,
gives the commies room
whoa!
to bring in a number one, number two to coincide with Terry McLaurin and potentially Ben Sinnott, the rookie tight end from Kansas State. They need a wide receiver threat there for new quarterback Jaden Daniels. I think they could use this capital to trade and then sign Brandon Aiyuk long term.
Is
Hmm.
he the only person you're thinking that is an option for them here, or is there somebody else out there?
Uh, oh, do I? I mean, there's some big pieces that they could go after, but I don't know if they have enough.
You
Like
tripped him up with that one.
you've still got. Could you go after CD Lamb? Sure. Do you have the
Choi.
capital to go after CD Lamb? Absolutely not, because you're going to
Nah.
have to give up. You're going to have to give up players who can immediately impact over there because they don't have any wide receiver depth after that. I mean, you've got Brandon Cooks, and then you've got Jalen Colbert that's in Dallas. I mean, maybe Jerry's willing to fork CD Lamb over because Jerry Jones is senile at this point. Like he's not even really willing to pay CD. So I guess that's an option.
Breaking
Um,
news: Jerry Jones signed CD Lamb to 5-year contract.
right. Like I don't really think that's a realistic option. And there's no other names that are really being thrown around here. So I think it's either Brandon Ayuk or they'll just go into the season with De'Ami Brown being the number two wide receiver there in Washington.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting look for them.
Is
It seems a
Washington good
little
enough for Brandon Ayuk though? Like, is is that
Jane
landing
Daniels. Yeah,
spot is that landing spot up to his standards? You know what I'm saying?
new coach, new ownership. They're going to change everything there. They're about to get a new
What's
stadium.
What's the
Why
standard?
not?
Making a Super Bowl, losing, and then not going back to the Super Bowl for 3 years while your entire team's
It's
injured?
obviously not New England.
I mean, does anybody want to go to New England?
How how much better are the commies than than the Pats, guys.
They're a
I
lot more
would-
They're
exciting
not
than
in a
them.
very different situation.
I would say they're in a much better situation. They won more games. They've made the playoffs more recently. You've got a better quarterback, regardless if he's a rookie, if they're both rookies or not, because either you're playing with a rookie in Drake May or you're playing with Jacoby Brissett, which has been a failed experiment across the league. He's the next Ryan Fitzpatrick. You've got
Easy.
you
What?
That's
actually
that's a
God,
stretch there, bud.
you
Jesus.
sorry, Ryan Fitzpatrick was a lot better.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That
Come
was
on now.
disrespectful. That was disrespectful to Ryan Fitzpatrick. That's my fault.
I don't even
You
like
got
Ryan Fitzpatrick that much.
you also have more weapons. Like regardless of now your main receiver only being Scary Terry, you do still have a guy in De'Ami Brown. You've got Ben Sinnott. You've got another tight end whose name escapes me. But then you've also got Brian Robinson and you've got Austin Eckler out of the backfield. Offensive line has been revamped. You've now got an offensive-minded coaching staff to go along with it. I think it's a far better situation than what you've got in New England.
Is Dan Quinn an offensive-minded coach?
Is he the head coach?
Yeah.
Ah, maybe that's not it. I forgot he was in DC. I forgot he was in DC. Yeah, maybe not. I don't know. I think the weapons are a lot better. Coaching staff, I guess you remove that because I
Oh,
forgot
man.
Dan Quinn was there. But offensive wise, I think the weapons are better set for Brandon Aiyuk to be there than in New England.
I concur.
I think they're both shit, and I think Aiyuk has now painted himself with the diva label, and I don't know. I don't know if he's good enough. I don't know if he's really good enough to like now be that significant of a wide receiver with that label, trying to be picky about where he goes, coming from San Francisco. You know what I'm saying?
Did
If
he
you
really
go
have the
to
opportunity to show out in San Francisco to be the number one receiver there?
He certainly had the ability to show out his route running skills.
I think he did. And if he ends up going to Washington, he's got another guy to compete with that's going to help him get open. Let's not forget how good Terry McLaurin is. Like, there's going to be guys who are double covering him on occasion. There's going to be guys that are double covering Brandon Aiyuk should he go there. And there's going to be plenty of weapons between Brian Robinson Jr. and Austin Eckler. And then I think Ben Sinnott's going to have a massive emergence there in DC as well. I think this would be a great move for the commies to pull off. And would be a big loss for the 49ers. Granted, they're all just going to be injured this year because that's how their run goes anyways. Make a Super Bowl and suck for 3 years because everyone's hurt.
It's certainly what the speculation is, right? Like it's certainly
Yes,
what
that's the speculation.
expected move. I'm just here to hope that it all goes sideways. It doesn't pan out.
You want
Fuck them all.
Brandon Aiyuk to stay in San Francisco?
I don't care where he goes. I just hope he doesn't do well now.
Wow.
Oh, you don't like
Doesn't
the
like the divas.
divaness.
No.
No, that's what the NFL is missing from our receivers, man.
We
Oh,
need
yeah.
diva wide receivers.
Oh, okay.
NFL was great when Terrell Owens and Chad Ochocinco were out there
Give
jaw
me
jacking left and right.
Hines Ward and Marvin Harrison any fucking day, bud.
It doesn't make for great TV, Tybo.
Yeah, I know.